This is the plaintiff, Christopher Russo. He says the defendant's one of those double-talking landlords who promised an apartment he rented from him was going to be ready, and it wasn't. They had a firm move-in date. He postponed it a few times, which was a huge and costly inconvenience. And when he did finally move in, there was no doorknob or lock on the front door, and the oven didn't work. He demanded a refund from the defendant. The louse refuses, and he's here suing for the $700 he's still owed. This is the defendant, Frank. He says he disagrees with the plaintiff because the apartment was in move-in condition. The plaintiff simply changed his mind on a whim, and he can't believe he wasted his time fixing up the place for the plaintiff because he double-crossed him. He's accused of not being ready.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff rented from the defendant, but when it came time for move-in date, it came and went, and when he finally moved in, it didn't even have a doorknob. But the defendant says the plaintiff just had buyer's remorse. It's the case of show them the door, but not the knob.
Thank you, Douglas. Christopher Rousseau, you are suing Frank, your almost landlord, for $700 remaining of a deposit that you had given him, and according to you, the place wasn't ready. Talk to me.
Correct. So in mid-September, I had to find a new apartment because the place I was renting from was being sold. I wasn't having much luck, but I did find Frank's place on Craigslist. He was running what he was calling a renovation special, which basically meant that he was admitting the place still needed a lot of work, still had renovations to be done, but he was looking for someone to sign a lease to move in as soon as possible after those renovations were complete.
But to sign now in hope that the renovations were done?
That's what it sounds like to me.
Okay.
We did decide on a definitive date, which I'm about to get to.
Okay,
So,
did you guys have a lease or no?
yes, I have given him, the $3,200 includes the month-and-a-half security deposit plus the first month's rent for the lease that was supposed to start on October 15th.
And when did you give that to him?
I gave him the security deposit on September 29th. I gave him the first month's rent on 10/10 when I assumed I was moving in on the 15th as per the terms of the lease and the
Okay.
security deposit.
Okay.
On September 29th, my friend Pete and I went to sign the security deposit, and the apartment was still a complete wreck. There was dust and dirt everywhere, but we figured he still had 2+ weeks, and he did have someone helping him. So at that point, I wasn't worried yet.
Was he actually doing the work himself?
Him and someone else, I believe. The security deposit, which I signed on that date, and I gave him the 1920, the first thing it says, if the unit is not available at the agreed-upon date, the landlord will make a full refund of the deposit without interest and with no liability or penalty to either party.
And that's in the contract that you had signed?
That's in the security deposit contract.
Can I see the security deposit?
Absolutely.
Is this a separate security deposit contract?
Yeah, this is not the lease. This was the security deposit. There you go. So I had made on 10/10, I signed the lease. He had $3,200 of mine. It was agreed that I would pick up the keys on the 16th. Even though the lease started the 15th, they said he was busy that day. So already pushing back one day, but that was fine at that time. So needless to say, my brother scheduled the day off work for that Wednesday. I had a truck ready to go, and I thought on the 14th, the day before the lease was to start, I better just write him a quick email making sure everything's good. I do have all the email correspondence. It's several pages, but he just said that the place was not going to be ready until 19th, the Friday.
Friday the 19th, all right?
Correct. So on the 19th, on the 18th, the day before the Friday that I'm supposed to get my keys, he writes me saying, the good news is the place will definitely absolutely be ready by October 20th, which is Saturday.
What's going on here? Why isn't the place ready when he is supposed to be moving in?
I'm a perfectionist. I was trying to make this place perfect, and I just kept finding things to do, unfortunately, and that's really all it is. I wasn't hiding.
Well, no, I know, but you can't hide. It's an apartment. But you have a deadline for your completion of your work. Why did you miss the deadline? The answer to that is not, I am such a perfectionist. I'm so good at what I do. Everything I do is great. Why did you miss the deadline to do all that in the, how many, 3 weeks, 4 weeks that you had? Why did you miss the deadline?
I underestimated how long it was going to take.
That's a better answer. That's the truthful answer. It's not that you're a perfectionist. It's that you didn't do what you said you were going to do. Now, he didn't have a problem with it on the 15th. He didn't have a problem with it on the 16th. He didn't have a problem with it on the 19th when you moved it now to the 20th. What happens on the 20th?
So if on move-in day the place isn't ready, can you break the lease and get your money back?
I think you should be able to break the lease because you're homeless at that point.
Fair point. What do you say?
I agree, because then you might not have nowhere to go.
But what if you do have somewhere to go? I mean, what if you do and the landlord says, I need an extra 4 days?
I would say this breaches our contract because don't you typically have to sign an agreement that everything's in place?
Yeah, but sometimes people are late.
Then I would say screw you.
Okay, well, if you put it that way, going inside the courtroom.
20th, we show up, and I actually have this whole thing on recording as well, and a witness.
Okay, so you actually go in there on the 20th, and you actually go in there with this witness.
Yes.
And you actually tape him. You don't tell him you're taping him.
I did at the very end.
Yeah, at the end. That's after
Yeah.
you taped him.
Yeah,
That's not what
yeah.
I'm asking.
I knew New
But
Jersey
you
that
are
this
from
was
New
legal.
Jersey, and New Jersey is a
Exactly.
one-party consent state, so you're allowed to do
Yes,
that.
we have
in
a close
some,
friend
in my
who
state,
told
in
us.
Florida, it's a felony.
Yep.
A third-degree felony if you do that. So go ahead. What happens?
So on the recording, you hear all this transpire, but
Well, actually, let's play the recording.
okay.
Let's see what happens. Let's just see.
The guy I hired for the door comes Tuesday when I was at work, and he says, we're running out of time. I don't know what that means. He said, I'll come back Thursday. All right, so Thursday comes. He says, I'm coughing and I'm in bed. I can't come today. I'll probably do it tomorrow. All right, so that's tomorrow, Friday. Friday morning, he asks me, I'm on my way to the doctor.
Oh my God, what were you talking about? What is the excuse? This is an excuse for what not being done?
I didn't even hear that, to be honest with you.
Is the door not having any kind of handle lock or hole for the handle or lock?
Bronchitis, one word, that's it. Sign out, over and out. So, but that's okay, because I found somebody else to do it. He's probably going to come Monday. He can come Monday night when you're here, even if you want. He's going to, because he always...
So there was no doorknob to his apartment?
There was no doorknob.
On the front of the apartment?
On his entrance, there was no doorknob.
Right. Why not, though? That's like...
The
what-
door was brand spanking new, and the person who was supposed to do it, I had an issue with, and it wasn't done in time, in all honesty. But on the other hand, that's the secondary door. It's just a regular interior door.
So that's not a door that leads to the outside of the building?
No.
But it's a door that keeps him from you and whoever else you may have as a guest, and it's his
Me.
privacy.
And your
Well,
son.
you know, he doesn't know you from home. He just knows you're a guy who keeps changing what you say you're going to do.
Well, I live downstairs. Let's be honest.
I got out of it.
And then last night at about 1 in the morning, another mystery. The stove won't power on, not a clue.
No stove?
That's not as, well, there was a stove, which I provided, mind
Okay,
you.
the words I just heard you say are, the stove doesn't work.
Right, that doesn't mean no stove. It means
Oh,
stove doesn't
you're
work.
so right. No working stove, forgive me, no working stove. Why didn't the stove work?
The outlet that the stove plugs into wasn't operational that day.
At what point are you just so untrustworthy and unreliable that people don't have to go into business with you by renting your place?
Your Honor, have you ever moved?
Oh, you think?
You've moved, right?
Yes, a million times.
All right, so you move and you're all settled in. Do you want to cook that night? Is that what you're dying to do? Is let's make a chicken. Now we're all moved in. Let's turn the stove on and cook. No, let's be real. He wasn't even going to use the stove that day.
When was he going to use it? That
Maybe
was
the next
Saturday,
day,
right?
the day after, maybe.
Well, the next
It
day
was
you
fixed
weren't
the
going to
next
have
day.
somebody.
It was
the next
working.
day, so Sunday, maybe he wants to cook and he can't.
It was fixed. By the end of Sunday, everything was working perfectly.
Except for that's not what you said. What you said was, so I got a guy, and he's going to come on Monday. Maybe Monday while you're here, the guy will come, you know. And you're not exactly a guy who does what he says he's going to do. Now, can you please explain to me why, when you returned his money, you kept $700?
The unit was fine.
No, it wasn't. There was
Well,
no
that's
doorknob
why we're
and
here
no
today.
working stove. You have no answer for why there's no doorknob and no working stove other than didn't happen yet. Was getting somebody.
I don't even have to
I
provide
tried.
a stove under the law. I provided one to be nice, and this is what I get
I'm
for it.
sorry. He rented one, so you have to provide one. Okay? He rented one. The place he's renting has a working stove and a functioning doorknob, so he can lock his door at night. Okay? The place wasn't ready on the date that you said it would be, or the next date that you said it would be, or the next date that you said it would be, or the last date that you said it would be. Verdict for the plaintiff, $700.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, the plaintiff is finally going to get his $700 back. Mr. Rousseau, what are you thinking right now? I'm thinking he couldn't see the forest through the trees. He would have had a brand new place already if you'd been a little patient and a little understanding.
Yeah, but I mean, you kept saying it's going to be ready, it's going to be ready, it's going to be ready, and it wasn't.
Well,
You ran out of time.
He agreed to every extension. I didn't force him. I have tenants now, and they're happy as
Yeah,
can
but you
be.
kept holding on to his money. That wasn't fair. Would you agree?
No.
You don't
That's
agree?
why we're here today.
Hey, well, the judge agrees.
Oh, I don't
With
agree
them,
there.
with
Well,
them.
that's fine.
Okay, sorry about that. Maybe you learned a lesson.
I did.
Okay,
Don't
good
be
enough.
too nice.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All righty. All right, Mr. Rousseau, he says he was too nice for you. What do you think?
I disagree. Yeah, actually, if he had worked with me, I would have been happy to. I was hoping to find a place where the lease started November 1st. He insisted on the 15th. If he had just said, I ran into some trouble, it's going to be longer, and been honest with me, we could have totally worked this out. But by the time he pushed it back 5 days, I'm like, I need to get out of this. This is the man I'm supposed to be living above. And if he's being this shady already, what am I getting myself into?
Yeah. Now that it is ready, are you sorry you didn't take that apartment?
Absolutely not.
You
I
happy
found a
where you are
place.
now?
Yes, I found a place that's much cheaper, only $10.50 as opposed to $12.80, and it's much nicer. So things have a way of working out, and I got my money today, so
good
I'm
enough.
not complaining.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Okay. Harvey?
Well, I mean, look, I got to tell you something, Doug. This apartment is not even habitable. It doesn't have a doorknob. It doesn't have a stove. Not even close. And all apartments have to be habitable. Plus, even under the contract, the guy gets his security back. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on their way into the courtroom right now.